Hello again. Welcome to another episode of the Native New England series. I'm here on the outskirts of Greenfield, Massachusetts at Eunice Williams Bridge, named after Eunice Williams, the subject of my short little video today. The Green River flows right under the bridge there. So let me set the stage. It's February, a leap year. The year 1704. 9 miles from here is the outpost frontier town of Deerfield, Massachusetts. The snow came heavy and it piled up high. Attackers got into the settlement. French and their allied native attackers from Canada came down and hit the settlement. One of the more prominent victims of the attack was the family of John Williams. He was reverend of the community. His wife, Eunice, who we're going to be talking about today in a bit, she was taken captive along with a few of her children. During the attack, two of her young children, a baby she had just given birth to, I believe Jerusha, and her young son John, they were killed. I don't know if they could make the journey, but the attackers decided to dispatch them. So you have this lightning attack, and the captives run away towards Canada, making their escape on snowshoes. The English, who are not so equipped, struggle to follow them. But it's prudent to get out of the area before more reinforcements come from Hadley and other parts of the valley area where these English settlements are here in Western Mass. The native French party heads up this way, and they find themselves along the Green River. Eunice, probably in her mind thinking about what had just happened to her, suffering some kind of shock. Her physical condition, she had just given birth somewhat recently, so I think physically she was a bit not really up to making a trip in the snow, not really dressed for it. Hundreds of mile trip lay ahead of her. She stumbled here, supposedly, or was holding up the party. So it was decided by one of the French native party that she was most likely would have to be dispatched so as not to slow up their escape. In that party, it was like her husband and Eunice, her young daughter, named after her mom, of course, and her brother Stephen. They were still alive, and I think a few other siblings as well. But they were part of the party or a little bit ahead at that time. But here, according to local lore and what this stone says, which I'll try to read as clearly as possible, the cruel and bloodthirsty savage who took her slew her with his hatchet at one stroke. Reverend John Williams of Deerfield, the redeemed captive. That's a quote from his journal of the event. The redeemed captive, so wrote of his wife, Miss Eunice Williams, who was killed at this place, March 1, 1704. And as you can see, this memorial stone was placed here in the 19th century. And moving along down the road here, take a little walk. There's another plaque here placed in the 30s. And back around 1930, a series of these plaques was placed, I think, all around Massachusetts, or at least the western part, making note of areas where historical events of some significance may have happened. And here you see 1630, the tricentennial anniversary of the Mass Bay Colony. Eunice Williams, wife of the Reverend John Williams, the redeemed captive, was killed at this place on March 1, 1704. They call it Deerfield Massacre. Some people call it the Raid on Deerfield. Politically correct, changing times, whatever. Call it what you want. But, I don't know. Back in those days, harsh things sometimes had to be done to ensure the survival of a group, and unfortunately, that's the way Mrs. Williams was dealt with. I don't know if her remains, if they lie here somewhere. Some say her spirit still haunts this very bridge in the area, and she's actually been sighted. This is now currently it's a water supply for the town of Greenfield. I'm gonna cross the road here. It's a popular gathering spot. So the river, as you can see, is down there. So interesting fact, little Eunice Williams and her brother, they did survive the journey up to Canada. Stephen split off and was taken with some Abenakis. He eventually did return back home to Western Massachusetts, but little Eunice, she was pretty small, around 7, I think, or 8 years old around the time of the raid. She was actually taken in by French allied Mohawks at a settlement called Ganawage, and she was adopted by a family there, and from what it seems like, fully integrated herself into the community. There's the Green River, supposedly haunted bridge. Another shot of the Green River. She supposedly was taken in, adopted, became fully acculturated, and became a Ganawage person, a Mohawk person. Spoke the language. I think possibly even converted to Catholicism. Her poor father tried to get her back many times over the following years. She never returned permanently to her valley home. She would make visits. She would visit her brother down in Longmeadow, Massachusetts, but she got adopted. Like, wasn't the first one that happened to. Other people became adopted in these wars, these frontier wars between England and France that occurred for many decades. But she's a well-known, local figure here. And yeah, so she remained her whole life up there, married, had children with a native man, just stayed there. So, but her poor mother didn't fare so well. Anyway, I think that's about all I have to say. Yeah, so that's it for now. Tell me if you guys like this video or not. Okay, this is another episode in the Native New England series. Have a good day.